You won't believe what happened when a neighbor kept asking for Wi-Fi day after day. What happened next uncovered a truth no one in the neighborhood saw coming. The holidays traded cramped brownstones for a yard and quieter streets. Mabel, Michael, and their two kids expected slow weekends and room to breathe. Instead, they ran into odd little incidents and next-door presence that never quite felt right. City noise was supposed to give way to easy suburban calm. The holidays pictured backyard barbecues and kids running free, not tense glances over the fence. Soon, they were tracking strange moments and wondering where the friendliness ended. Kyle kept showing up, asking again and again, so the holidays changed passwords and tightened security. Still, the internet slowed. Then, Mabel saw him near the router box with a small device, while the HOA brushed it off as a private matter. One night, Mabel overheard the Morrises arguing and learned the real problem. Their Wi-Fi had been cut off because the bill went unpaid. Kyle needed internet for GED study, not trouble. Michael stepped in with financial help, and the mood shifted fast. "Could I have your Wi-Fi password? Just for 5 minutes," Kyle asked, shifting from foot to foot. Mabel and Michael exchanged a look. Why did a nearly grown man need their network? Surely the Morrises had their own setup, or so they thought. Mabel said no, and Kyle stayed there, leaning on the fence with that hard, fixed stare. The discomfort was instant, so she cut it short. "Head home, Kyle." They had work to do, and she wanted him gone from the yard right then. After her first floristry deliveries went well, Mabel drove home smiling. That smile vanished in the driveway. Kyle was back at the fence, hovering near the kids again. Business had picked up, so had the feeling that something was off. For their children's safety, Mabel and Michael started watching Kyle closely. He never asked for more than the Wi-Fi password, yet they didn't want him near the kids. On top of that, the internet kept slowing at the worst possible times. Mabel and Michael decided it was time to speak with Judy and Wesley Morris. Kyle was 19, but he still lived under their roof. Calm and polite felt like the only sensible approach, because this had gone from awkward to exhausting. Judy Morris laughed in Mabel's face. "It's just Wi-Fi. Stop being selfish. He's not stealing from you. Give the kid a break." Mabel stood there stunned as Judy dismissed the whole thing like it was nothing more than a social media favor. Between arranging bouquets, Mabel called the Homeowners Association, hoping they'd step in and settle the Kyle problem. Their suburb had an active HOA, and she expected them to take a firm line on repeated boundary crossing. The HOA representative shut it down fast. "This is a private dispute. You'll have to work it out yourselves. We don't handle petty conflicts over Wi-Fi passwords." Mabel ended the call frustrated, with no real help in sight. All day, Mabel handled deliveries while Michael was at the office. By evening, she had made up her mind. She would go straight to the Morris house and confront them. They had talked it through, and neither saw another way forward. Mabel parked the floristry van, stepped out, and slammed the door. Anger was burning now. Kyle had pushed them long enough. She had tried being pleasant, and it hadn't worked. The neighbors were about to hear exactly how serious this was. "Inside," Wesley shouted. "Kyle, stop acting like a weirdo. Do you want the whole neighborhood talking? The holidays are sick of you hanging around their yard." Kyle answered too softly to make out, but the tension was obvious through the walls. Mabel stayed put and listened to the argument inside. Then the truth came out. "We're drowning in debt, Wes. The Wi-Fi got cut off because we couldn't pay," Judy cried. Kyle needed it for his studies, and the family was barely holding on. Mabel still thought the Morrises had handled things badly, but now she understood. She felt guilty for turning Kyle away and assuming the worst. He hadn't been creeping around for fun. He had just been trying to study, and that hit hard. When Michael got home, Mabel told him everything she had overheard. He felt awful too. Then she saw the opening. Her husband had the skills to help. If anyone could steady the Morrises, it was Michael, and she was determined to use that. The next evening, Michael went over to the Morris house while Mabel stayed home with the kids, hoping for the best. He came back with good news. The parents were willing to listen, and the first step toward getting Kyle back on track had begun. Earlier that day, Mabel had already contacted the neighborhood community group about a co-working space for young people. By then, an email had arrived. A room in the library was being set aside for study and internet access. That solved one big problem. What stands out is how fast suspicion took hold and how quickly listening softened it. The holidays moved in hoping for calm, then ended up policing a fence over Wi-Fi. Once they heard the Morris family argue, the whole story changed shape. A worried family can become adversaries in a single afternoon. Kyle looked creepy at the fence, plain and simple, but he was also a kid trying to study. Mabel's caution made sense. The lesson is that fear can hide a lot when nobody asks questions. Start with a conversation, not a confrontation. If a neighbor seems awkward or needy, set clear rules about kids and Wi-Fi. Protect your router, sure, but don't make a scene. When you can, offer a local resource or a useful skill instead of a lecture. The holidays moved for peace, and after a rough start, they found their way back to it. Tension didn't disappear overnight. Boundaries, honest talk, and practical help did the work. The neighborhood didn't need perfection, just neighbors willing to try. Jumping to conclusions built a wall between two households. Mabel meant to protect her kids, but that same caution made Judy and Wesley dig in. When suspicion takes over, pride usually follows, and nobody gets what they actually need. Michael didn't hand over cash. He offered skills. His financial planning sessions gave the Morrises breathing room, and the library co-working space gave Kyle steady Wi-Fi and a place to study. That felt less like charity and more like community repair. A calm knock on the door beats a social media post every time. If that goes nowhere, ask a local group for help or share a skill, the way Michael did. Protect your family, yes, but keep listening for the real story behind awkward behavior. They moved for a yard and some peace, then found themselves policing a fence over a Wi-Fi password. Small annoyances piled up until suspicion took over. One overheard argument turned confrontation into compassion, and that turn is worth remembering. Michael didn't offer a pile of cash. He gave time, advice, and a plan that respected the Morrises' pride. That kind of help creates breathing room and a path forward. Sometimes the kindest gift is a skill, not a check. Lock down your router and check for tampering. Absolutely. Then knock before you post and try one calm conversation first. Set firm safety boundaries, but leave space for a neighbor to explain. Those two moves can stop a lot of trouble early.